Hey everybody, and welcome back to the live show. It took a few weeks off. We had a family birthday dinner that we had to go to about a month ago for my mother-in-law. Then we were on the road for 2 weeks in a row. And then last week was Super Bowl, and I wasn't going to go up against Super Bowl. So yeah, it just worked out that basically a month without any live shows, but now we're back when we can. We do have some travel coming up through the next few months, but doesn't seem like there's much happening on Sunday. So until further notice, we're back. So thanks to everybody that is back on with the live show, and we'll do this regularly. Now, I didn't go through all my past emails for the past month to find any specific pictures for people who sent them in. So I have one picture to show today because it came in today, so it was easy to find. So if you did send a picture, resend it. You know, I just asked you to do that. It's zack@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca, or ZACK@motormouth.ca if you're from the US. Don't forget to sign up at Car Cost Canada. What you're going to start to see over the next few months, because of high interest rates, maybe diminishing demand at dealerships, car companies are going to start to be competing for your dollars. The biggest one, the earliest one, will be reducing interest rates, buying down the cost of borrowing for you. And the way you find that out is to sign up at carcostcanada.com, become an expert member. You use the promo code MotorMouth, it's the name of the channel. Then it unlocks some free searches for you. So when you're shopping for a new car, you want to know basically what the dealer paid for the car. That's what you get, any incentives or rebates. And I guarantee you, between now and the fall, as the bite of high interest rates continues to take hold in the economy, and with the real world chance that interest rates could actually continue to go up, what we're seeing in the economy is what they call sticky. Inflation is being sticky. It's coming down, but it's still remaining high in certain segments of the economy. So, carcostcanada.com. Okay. Got that out of the way. We were just in Toronto for the Canadian International Auto Show, and you might have seen the Highlander video that we put out. That was yesterday. Tomorrow we're going to drop the Subaru Crosstrek, the all-new 2024 Subaru Crosstrek, and we also did the Ioniq 6N. That was out as well. So coming up this week, we have the Corolla all-wheel drive hybrid. So this is brand new for 2023. Toyota has updated the Corolla with more hybrid trims. So it was only sold with one trim. Now it's available with, I think, 4 trims. It now has the all-wheel drive system. And it's actually a great little car. So that's coming out on Wednesday. And this week, we just picked them up today, the Ford F-150 Lightning is in the house. Yes, we finally got our hands on the F-150 Lightning, and we also have the Volvo XC40. Okay, so that's what's coming up on the channel. It never ends, as you know. We're always doing something. And we have just one picture today because it came in today. This is from Jason Choi. Now, is this guy lucky or what? He just picked up this week his Porsche Cayman GTS 4-liter in the beautiful chalk color with the dark wheels. So congratulations to Jason. And once again, if now I didn't go through, like I said, a month's worth of emails to find pictures. So please resend a picture if you did send it in, zack@motormouth.ca. And we're off to a great start. We already have a super chat. Let's get our first super chat. Hey, Zach, your thoughts on trading a vehicle versus selling privately? That's a very good question. There is benefit definitely for trading in a vehicle. You know, just pick round numbers because it's easier to describe. Say you have a car that's worth $20,000. It's a used car that's worth $20,000. And your new car is $40,000, okay? If you trade it in at the dealer, you're only paying the tax between the $20,000 and the $40,000. If you sell that car privately, somebody comes to your house and they buy the car and they write you a check for $40,000, then you take that, carve you a check for $20,000, I should say. Then you take that 20 and go to the dealer and try to buy the $40,000 car. Sure, you've got the $20,000, but you're going to pay tax on the full amount. So that's the advantage of trading in. You really only pay the difference in tax between what the trade-in is worth and what the new car is worth, between $20,000 and $40,000. So there is a way you can do this. You can have your cake and eat it too. Dealers don't often like to play along, but some do. It's called an in and out. So what you do is you get a buyer, a personal buyer, somebody wants to buy your car, and then you want to buy the new car, and you say to the dealer, I have a trade-in, but somebody's already bought the car. So on paper, it goes into the deal and then out the back door to the other buyer. That's called an in and out. The dealer doesn't get their hands on the car. Just on paper, it was traded in. So you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. That's a lot trickier. So what you need to do is run the numbers on what the tax savings is and see if it's worthwhile to trade in. Hopefully that makes sense. We have another super chat. Jean Fortin. Oh, I missed it. What happened there? Bonsoir. Certified 2022 Mercedes-Benz 330e X-Drive Premium Package, 17,000 kilometers at 50,000, 20,000 kilometer total for my commute to Quebec City. 20 kilometer total commute for Quebec City. Thoughts? Well, first of all, the range would probably be enough. If you're just doing 20 kilometers. The range on that 330e isn't that great. The first batch of plug-in hybrids from BMW, the range really wasn't that good. The good news is with the 3 Series is you've got a more efficient car than, say, a big X3 or a big X5. I don't know if that's actually a deal or not. So it's a 2022. It's a 1-year-old car, 17,000 kilometers, $50,000. What I'd have to do is see what a new one is. The other thing is, could you get one? So I really don't have an answer unless I dug into what the actual new price of that car is. Sounds like it's well equipped with the premium package. You know, it might not be a bad deal. And as I mentioned, if you've got it charged every morning, you're going to be able to do the vast majority of your commute in Quebec City just using pure EV. Now, the thing is, always remember with a plug-in, a plug-in isn't trying to replicate a pure electric vehicle. A lot of people make this mistake and they say, oh, you know, the gas engine comes on once in a while, or, you know, whatever. You're really trying to just average down your fuel costs. You're not buying an electric car, you're buying a plug-in hybrid. So you just want to say, okay, I pay $500 a month in gas. It's probably way too much, but you want to bring that cost down. Okay, that's really what you're doing with a plug-in hybrid. You're not getting a pure EV, so just keep that in mind. So I don't have the numbers in front of me for what you think that is worth in the used market, but considering it's only 1 year old. Oh, the other thing you want to consider is it will qualify for a certified pre-owned warranty, which means you get an extra 2 years of warranty. Since the car is only 1 year old, then really you're getting a 5-year warranty. So that's maybe not that bad. Okay, let's get in. That was our couple of super chats, so thank you for that. A super chat, by the way, is if you want to absolutely get a question answered, where you type in the question, there's a little $ there. It just really highlights it for me. I'm not paying my mortgage with this. It's just a chance to showcase your question, and also does contribute to the channel. All right, Sanjeev, always the first guy in lately, that's for sure. What do you think about the Aeroflow, the Kia Seltos, the Corolla Cross Hybrid is coming to Canada, and when are you going to drive the Honda Accord Hybrid Touring? Well, I don't know much about the Airflow. So what's happening with Chrysler is going to be moving to an EV platform. So any new products coming from Chrysler, which would mean all of them because they only have the Pacifica minivan right now. Now they're getting rid of the 300 and so on. So yeah, any new products will be EV, and Airflow is the one they're going to show. I don't know much about it. Seltos is coming anytime. It's been updated. It's what I would call a mid-cycle refresh. It's got the new dual pane instrument cluster, so you get the bigger screen, the bigger digital readout, so that's good stuff. It's got a new front and rear fascia, facelift, and it's got 20 more horsepower, and now it no longer has a dual clutch transmission. It's got an 8-speed automatic for the higher horsepower 1.6 liter turbo. So that's the update. I think it's a nice update, and we're going to get to drive it soon. Corolla Cross, we're going to be driving it in April. And Honda Accord Hybrid, listen, I got to tell you, the PR department at Honda Canada is just dropping the ball when it comes to having events. They don't really have events for Canadian media. It's terrible. So we basically wait until the car shows up locally. KP, what do you think of the inline-six hybrid powertrain will be in the Mazda swan song before inevitable full electrification? Also, what is the difference between RAV4 TRD and Trail? The TRD and the Trail, I believe it's got a slightly higher ride height, and the suspension has been modified. The Trail is capable of towing more. Those are the main differences off the top of my head. I would have to dig into a little bit more. So the Mazda 6 inline, the Mazda, I'm getting ahead of myself. The CX-90 inline 6, 3.3 liter, turbocharged, is the powertrain. Now, a lot of people think this sounds very exotic, but if you think about it, there's a lot of midsize SUVs with six-cylinder engines. So because it's inline six, that sounds a lot like a BMW, and then it's turbocharged. That sounds very exotic. Well, let's just wait until we get a chance to drive it. And then the plug-in is a 2.5 liter. It doesn't have the inline six. Okay, so that is more in line with what they do at Toyota. They too have a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder and a plug-in for the RAV4 Prime, for example. So that will be similar, a little bit more power from what I remember, but we have to wait until we drive it. We do know that we are going to be driving it at the end of March, okay, the last week of March. So until we actually get our hands on it, that's all I can tell you. All right, a bunch of super chats coming in, which I love. I guess you guys missed the live show, so that's your way of saying thank you. I appreciate that. All right. My T-Bird from Vancouver Island. Best source for 5-year reliability residual value report. Edmunds, Consumer Reports, Auto Trader, Scotty Kilmer. Okay, so you want 5-year reliability and residual value are two separate things entirely. So J.D. Power used to do a 5-year dependability study, and I did an interview with Dave Sargent. He's got a new job now at J.D. Power. He used to be the head of automotive, and I did many, many radio interviews with him, and he's a great guy and really forthcoming. And, I hear a lot of nonsense, talked about with J.D. Power, and all of their reports are bought and paid for. That's absolute nonsense. These car companies don't buy the report. They don't buy the score. They basically pay to use the information that J.D. Power has accumulated. They used to do a 5-year dependability study, and in their research, they found that at 5 years, it wasn't really about the car. It was about the owner at that point. The dedication from the owner to maintenance and how they looked after the car, how many miles they drove, and all those sorts of things. That's why they went to a 3-year dependability study, because the first 3 years they figured was more on the car. At 5 years was more on the owner and their dedication to look after the car. I still like the J.D. Power dependability study. Also remember that Consumer Reports, people say that J.D. Power is biased. Actually, Consumer Reports is biased because Consumer Reports injects their own opinion into the surveys, and they also only canvass Consumer Reports subscribers. So Consumer Reports subscribers tend to be older, more male. It's not a cross-section of the population, where J.D. Power basically looks at hundreds of thousands of different cars across Canada and the United States. They don't know who the people are. They don't know anything about them. They just follow the car. When it comes to residual value, we used to have a great public site in Canada, which was Canadian Black Book. They've since stopped giving that information to the public. So in the U.S., it would be Blue Book. You could look up the residual values. One way to look it up, actually, is to go to a new car site, like, say, Volkswagen or Honda or whatever, and then just look at the residual values of cars. So type in, okay, I'm going to buy this 2023 model, and I want to lease it for 5 years. Well, you'll see what the residual value is. They actually calculate it for you. So that's one way to do it. Another super chat, Charlottetown Spud from PEI one of my favorite handles. I love the name Charlottetown Spud. Charlottetown is in Prince Edward Island in Canada, famous for potatoes. That's why it's Charlottetown Spud. Do you think German car reliability issues are blown out of proportion, or have the issues at least improved in later models? I'm looking at 2016 M235 with 99,000 kilometers on it. Okay, I'm going to work backwards on this one. The only thing I'll warn you about buying a BMW 2016 model with basically 100,000 kilometers on it, you're going to buy it and drive it for a short period of time, and it will then roll over and be a 100,000 kilometer car. There's a psychological depreciation that happens in the Canadian market when the car's over 100,000 kilometers. So just know that. And also use it in negotiating if you're going to buy the car. This car's got over 100,000 kilometers on it. Oh, no, it doesn't. It has 99. Okay, round it up. It's a real annoyance because the psychological barrier in the U.S. is 100,000 miles, which is 160,000 kilometers. So it's just a number. It doesn't really mean anything, but it does affect the resale value. Okay, so that's one thing. Second thing, BMW M235. Mwah, beautiful car. Wonderful car. Love the car. But now you're looking at a car that is, that's really quite old, right? So you're looking at a car that is... Hey, look, it's the all-new Macan from Port... I don't know what's going on there. So you've got a 4 and 3. So now you've got a 7-year-old car. You have to get it inspected. Back to my point I made a moment ago. When you're getting a car that's older, you have to basically buy into the previous owner's ability to maintain and look after the car. So you know that. You've had lots of different higher end and exotic cars. I know you've had lots of fun cars in the past. Do I think the reliability is blown out of proportion? Yes. I do think it is blown out of proportion with German cars. We've owned Japanese cars and almost entirely German cars. It comes down to your pain threshold. I'm used to owning German cars. I know that they can be a little more maintenance heavy. I do know that some repairs can get expensive, but I'm willing to pay that because I enjoy driving German cars. We've had 5 BMWs, 5 Porsches, and you know what? I'm just kind of used to owning them. I don't even think about it. So I take it in and it needs some service and it costs me whatever the cost is. I pay it because I like owning the car. So it really comes down to, if you're used to driving a Honda Civic and then you go and you buy a 2016 M235 and you get the first maintenance, you're going to go, what the hell is this all about? But if you've owned many German cars, it really won't be that big a deal. Please get the car inspected. Please make sure that it hasn't been abused and then negotiate from there. Another super chat. Hi, Zach. Looking at the JD Power scores and seeing that many of the luxury brands, Audi, Mercedes, Porsche, score very low. Can these companies justify charging so much for their vehicles? Now, one of the reasons that a lot of high-end cars, especially German cars, score poorly is that these brands typically put more advanced technology in their cars earlier. They go out of the gate first with new technology. And then you have other brands where they hold back on technology, mainline brands, and then they wait for the Germans to figure it out, and then they take it and they make it their own and they perfect it. Lexus is a perfect example of this. Lexus never really goes way out in front of the market with some new crazy technology. The perfect example I use of this was in 2002, BMW brought out the iDrive system. You remember that with the 7 Series? It was horrendous. It was terrible. It had so many problems. They went so far out ahead of the marketplace with that technology. But as the years went by and they perfected it, as the generations of new BMWs came out with new versions of iDrive, it ended up being the best premium interface for any high-end car. And then everybody started to copy them. And you can see mirrored in other brands what BMW did with iDrive. So that's the problem, is when you have new technology going out in front of everybody else it can take several generations for them to get all the bugs out of it. And that hits them on the quality scores. Think of Audi, for example, with all the screens that they put in, I think it was 4 years ago, with the A6, the A7, the Q8, and all of that. It's now migrated through much of their model lineup, and hopefully it's getting better. But those first few years, they can really take it on the chin. Okay, what's interesting, talking about Consumer Reports and JD Power, Consumer Reports also came out. So just a week or so ago, JD Power came out with their 3-year dependability, so vehicles after 3 years, and Consumer Reports came out with their list. Interestingly, Consumer Reports has BMW near the top. They have Mini near the top. So these are, in essence, German brands. With much higher scores than the others. Once again, don't forget, Consumer Reports injects their own opinion into the quality scores with their experts. Okay, it's not pure data. It's data that's collected from a small sample group and then tweaked by their experts. Where JD Power is just pure data. Just my opinion. Actually, that's the way it's done. My goodness, all the super chats are coming in. Thoughts on Mazda? Really like the 2.5 GT for the money. Not sure which one you're talking about. The Mazda 3, the CX-30, the CX-5. Yeah, the engine is good. It's really quite torquey. It's kind of the opposite from a turbo 4-cylinder. Is usually more peaky power, but the Mazda turbo was originally developed for the CX-9, 3-row midsize SUV, so it had to be torquey, and it does a good job with that. I'm a big fan too, but the regular 2.5 is excellent depending on which vehicle you're getting it in. Like, for example, in the CX-30, I think the 2.5T is kind of overkill. My T-Bird again, another super chat. Man, you guys are spoiling me. Is that orange Pontiac Grand Prix that pops up in your monitor for sale? Love Pontiacs. No. It probably was one of those cars I did with Core Cars. Okay, so wonderful. Thank you for all the super chats. That's very nice of you. We have 343 people on board. Awesome. If you guys could smash the thumbs up, that would be great. If you can do that, it helps with the live show. So it's nice having taken a month off that you're all back. That's awesome. Thank you. Harpreet is here. Hey, Harpreet. Hopefully you're having a great night. Hi, Zach. Long-time listener looking into getting a 2024 Porsche Macan EV or 2024 Porsche Cayenne e-hybrid. Curious as to your thoughts, opinion on which one you would recommend. Well, first of all, you're getting way ahead of yourself with the Porsche Macan EV. We don't know all the specs and details of the car, how much it's going to be. Yes, the next Macan will be an EV. There's lots of spy shots and things you can see on that. I'm not a fan of the Porsche. We have 2 Cayennes. I talk about the Cayenne all the time, but I am not a fan of the e-hybrid. I'm not a fan of the e-hybrid in the Panamera. It's not really, Porsche talks about it being a performance hybrid, and they give these big horsepower and torque numbers, but that's when the electric and the gas is like full on together. It's not my favorite at all. I wouldn't touch the Cayenne e-hybrid. I don't like it at all. And then we're going to have to wait until we get the Macan EV. Not sure what I can add other than it is coming. It is going to be based on the same platform that is used for the ID4 and also the Q4 and the Q4, which is the e-tron, and the e-tron, the original e-tron, is now going to be branded as the Q8. So it's on that platform, which is modified. It's not on the Taycan platform. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's the 400-volt architecture, not the 800-volt architecture. KPKP, also Richmond Honda has a 2023 Type R at a reasonable price of $80,888. Really, I've said this many times about these dealers that charge way over MSRP for a car. That's one thing. They're dogs, really. But I want to meet the moron that'll pay $80,000 for a Type R. I want to meet them and go, what the hell are you thinking? I don't get it. Here's Danielle. or Daniel, I should say. Hope you and Andy had a good time in Toronto at the auto show. Saw a 911 GT3 Touring and thought you'd like it. Yes, that's my favorite car. The auto show was a bit sad, really, that the auto show is a shell of what it used to be. I don't mean to crap on the Canadian International Auto Show. These are just the facts. I'm not beating on them, but not one German car there. Audi, Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, nothing. No Acura, no Honda, no Mitsubishi, no Ford. Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company, biggest car seller in Canada, not at the Canadian International Auto Show. So a lot of slim pickings, to be honest with you. So, the crowds have been good. People are going back to the show, which is great. But I think a lot of people will walk away and go, well, what the hell was that for? No Bentley, no Land Rover Jaguar. No, there's some exotic cars that are there that are from like smaller local dealers and what have you. But just, I don't know. My prediction, I give it 3 to 5 years, and then the auto shows will be gone. Except for the big shows, right? LA, New York, Paris, the German show, whether it's in Munich or in Frankfurt. I think it's in Munich now. Big shows like that. But other than that, I don't see a future for the auto shows. The car companies just don't want to pay for that. Hello, Zach. Some cool reviews this past week. Would you have any info on the Chevy Equinox? Availability for you and Andrew to view coming to Canada. I'm in Vancouver. Thanks. Interesting. You should bring that up. We ran into at the Canadian International Auto Show. They had a PR for General Motors Canada and said, when is the Equinox drive event and when is the Blazer drive event? So we're working on it. I don't have any firm numbers for you, but we are working on getting our hands on that. And still, no lyric. There's still no lyric, which is just absolutely ridiculous. We have another super chat. This one just says, hit the like button. That's good advice. We have 375 plus people on and 150 roughly thumbs up. So it'd be great if you guys could do that. Okay, back up we go for more questions and answers. All right. Also, the Grand Wagoneer had an amazing third row. Sat in one at the auto show. Never seen a sunroof in the back. Yeah, it's a beautiful, that Grand Wagoneer is special on the inside. That has a beautiful interior. Hey, Zach, good to see you back. What's your take on Toyota's about-face into electrification? Seems like the board grew tired of Akio Toyota holding Toyota back from being competitive. Well, a lot of this is speculation, right? There's a lot of articles. If you're not aware, Akio Toyota, the grandson of the founder of Toyota Company, has stepped down as CEO, and he's moved up to just be the chairperson of the company. A new CEO of the company is running it. A lot of speculation about moving headlong into doing more electrification. They did have plans for that. I'm not sure exactly why he stepped down, and he did it at this time. But a lot of this is speculation. I will tell you one thing, having been around this business for a long time and seeing what Toyota does, they don't tell anybody anything. All it is speculation. They are so tightly guarded when it comes to their plans for what they're going to do. It is real hard to get information out about what Toyota is up to. So what is it that they had planned, and what is it that is going to be sped up? The plans, we don't really know. And they're never going to tell us until it's actually time to show the vehicle. They're very good at keeping everything under wraps. So all the stuff you're reading is really just speculation, because they don't tell us anything. They keep it really under wraps. Good evening. I hope you had a great weekend. It's an extra long weekend here in Canada. It's what we call our Family Day long weekend. I'm not sure if it's universal across every province in Canada, but it is in most. Here's Eric. Hey, Eric, good to see you. Would you encourage my father's friend to get a fully loaded Corolla or base model Camry? Which will hold better value long-term in general between the two? I would say probably the Corolla, only because more people are buying compact cars than they are mid-size cars. Mid-size car sales are really fallen off a cliff. Now, with that, you always have to preface it by saying the winners in the midsize car space are the Camry and the Accord. And then everybody else just falls off a cliff. Like those two really dominate, and then everybody else is just really not in the race. Really, that's the way it is. So you have to run the numbers and see what you think is best, and also what's the best fit for their family, size-wise, all those sorts of things. We have the Corolla video that's coming out on Wednesday, and the new updates they made to the Corolla are really good, considering it's not that crazy a price. However, the Camry is a bigger vehicle. It has a little bit, excuse me, more road presence. It's going to be more comfortable on the highway on a longer trip. It's a much bigger car. So if you have to not just think about resale value, you have to think resale value in combination for, is it the right fit for what you need it to do? So it's a good exercise to go through and drive them both. But the new Corolla, the updates they made are excellent. By the way, this year is the 40th anniversary. I'm trying to remember, is it 40 years? I think it's an anniversary for Camry. So there's probably going to be an all-new Camry coming later this year. Hey, Zach, do you think the Kia Sportage plug-in hybrid is a good choice? Yes, it's an excellent choice. My mother-in-law has the Hyundai version, which is the Tucson plug-in hybrid. They absolutely love it. Now, it's not the same as getting a RAV4 Prime. It doesn't have a heat pump, so that means in cold weather, the gas engine comes on more often. Back to my point I made earlier. Don't buy a plug-in hybrid, in this case, a compact SUV, and think you're buying an EV. You're not. You're buying a hybrid that has a little bit more electric range. So just go into it knowing that the gas engine's going to come on when you're accelerating and you're merging on the highway, you're passing a truck, the gas engine will come on even when you have EV range because it needs all that power. You just want to think when you're buying a plug-in hybrid that you're averaging down your fuel costs throughout the year. The plug-in hybrid is going to get much better EV range in the summer and the spring and the fall. Not so good in the winter because the gas engine comes on to heat the cabin, but just think of it as an annual cost of running the car. You're bringing down your average costs. It's a great product, beautiful interior, interesting looking car on the outside, large back seat, big cargo area. It's a wonderful product. Next time you speak to your friend at Volkswagen, can you pitch the idea of a Jetta R to go with the Golf R and tell them not to forget the manual transmission? Well, the Jetta is available with a manual transmission, even with the base 1.5 liter, and then the GLI. Listen, the GLI is a hell of a deal. They are not going to come out with an all-wheel drive Jetta R. It ain't going to happen. The Jetta is made in a different factory than the Golf R is made in Wolfsburg. And then the Jetta is made in Puebla in Mexico. But I got to tell you, the Jetta GLI is one of the true real deals in the car business. And a manual transmission. You choose manual, you choose dual clutch, and the color, and those are the only choices you've got. It comes fully equipped, manual, automatic, and color. Those are your only choices. And it's a wonderful product at a great price. So I just don't see them doing a Golf or a Jetta R, to be honest with you. And it is available with manual. You can even get, and by the way, the base 1.5 liter, not the GLI, is a wonderful engine and incredible fuel economy. We get comments from people who have Jettas, and especially for people who do a lot of commuting on the highway, crazy, like hybrid quality fuel economy with that engine. Jeffrey, heading to the auto show tomorrow. Any recommendations of can't miss exhibits? As I mentioned earlier, it's well, you put it this way. You, go to the show and then get back to me on what you thought was good. I'd love to hear what you think. Here's Anton. I'm thinking of getting a Kia Sportage LX all-wheel drive. It goes for $31,000, $35,000 after tax. What your opinion on it? Are there better alternatives in the range? We need the space. I don't think you're going to find a better all-round package than that product. It's got a great second row seat for legroom, the biggest of its class. So these are, the RAV4, the Rogue, the CRV, the Tucson. Another one that's fairly big is the Tiguan from Volkswagen. But you know what? It's the biggest, tied with the Kia, with the Hyundai, I should say, as the Tucson, for big back seat and big cargo area. So you know what? It's a lot of car for the money, and I think that's an excellent choice. Ricardo Gill, hi Zach. What is the direct competitor for Subaru Outback? Greetings from Lima, Peru. It doesn't have any competition. That's the one thing that's cool about the Outback. It is one of the last station wagons. The closest was the all-track, the Volkswagen Golf, the Sport Wagon all-track. That's no longer for sale. That was smaller. The other one was the original Toyota Venza, was really a station wagon based on a Camry platform. But it's really the last non-luxury station wagon. Sure, they lifted it up and they put the cladding on it and they gave it a name Outback, but really, it is a station wagon, and we don't have any. They're all disappearing. BMW isn't bringing in the 3 Series anymore. In Canada, we had the C-Class wagon. That's been discontinued. The E-Class wagon, from what I remember, is being discontinued. So, you know, it's one of those get it while you can. What was your time length getting through U.S. Customs in Vancouver? It took me 2.5 hours from the entrance to my departure gate. We have Nexus, our global entry, takes us 2 minutes. Besides Toyota and Honda having good resale value, is there any other car brands that have great resale and reliable? Well, resale value is very strong for Subaru cars. They're very, very good for resale value. Honda and Toyota have excellent resale value. Subaru is very high. What other brands? Well, there's high-end brands like Porsches have incredible resale value. But yeah, another one would be Subaru. How do you feel about the 2018 Atlas? Well, it is the biggest of the mid-size 3-row SUVs. So if you need space and you're hauling kids and stuff around, that is the big dog. Big back seat, big third row, big cargo area, big vehicle, and it has a VR6 engine. That is an old, antiquated engine. Now, at this point, it's been around a long time. It was introduced in the early 90s in the Corrado. Do you remember that car? The little sports car? And it went from 3.2 liters to 3.6 liters, and then it was modified for an SUV. So the engine is actually one of the reliable points of that car. However, it's bad on gas. It just loves gasoline. So it's a big, boxy, heavy 3-row SUV with an inefficient engine. Now the engine is good, but it just likes gas. So go into it knowing that you're going to be spending money on fuel. So that's why for 2023, or is it 2024 model? Anyway, the one they just showed 2 weeks ago at the Chicago show, I think it's a 24 model. They ditched this engine and have gone to just a turbo 4-cylinder. One thing you want to check is that product, that would be the second year it was available. There were quirks and some repairs that were coming up with the Atlas. So make sure you get it inspected by a mechanic and then see if you like it, okay? Do you know how much the Ioniq 6 is? I do not. Just look at the Ioniq 5, right? It won't be more than the Ioniq 5. I think it's going to be similar to that. Does the trade-in also get you out of luxury tax if it gets you below a key level? I don't know exactly, but I think it does. I think it does. But I'm not a car salesperson. I could phone my friend Lewis. Let's see if we can get him. Let's see if we can get Lewis. So Lewis is our sales guy at Porsche. I'll see if he answers the phone. This will be fun. He might say something rude off the top.
Hey, Zach. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Lewis. You're live on the live show.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay. Okay. There's the question, because you're our sales guy. Does the trade-in, if you're doing a trade-in on the car, will it get you below the luxury tax?
The LST?
Yeah.
No, the The LST is not affected. LST goes right off invoice, basically.
So whatever the top line number is, you have to pay the tax if it's over $100,000,
Yeah, anything over 100,000, the LST hits. You cannot bypass it.
even with a trade-in.
No, unfortunately not.
Okay,
Yeah.
what are you driving?
I'm driving a Cayenne S.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
So the Cayenne,
Beautiful car, smooth.
he's always a sales guy. Hear that? He's selling it. I can't wait till next year. The Cayenne's going to have the 4-liter turbo.
Yes, the facelift is coming. I'll be flying out in June to see it. I take it for some reason you'll probably get out there before I will to get to see it and drive it.
Okay, Louis, we got to go. We got to get on to the next question. You're a gem. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right.
Bye.
Have a great show.
Bye. There you go. That's good to have them on speed dial. So there you go. That's the answer. It does not affect your sales tax. All right, let's get a thumbs up for Louis. We have 200 thumbs up. We'll get some more. That would be really good. And that's cool. Do you recommend used EVs? I got no problem with used EVs. There's less to go wrong with them. You got to remember that used EVs now are pretty much, for the most part, going to be first gen, right? So a lot of the EVs that have been introduced in the last little while are the first generation. You could go to something like the Nissan Leaf that's in its second generation. You could look at a Chevy Bolt that's been sort of the facelifted version of the car that came out a year or so ago. So a lot of them are first generation. So you would have to look in to see how reliable they have been generally. EVs as a whole in the industry are some of the least reliable cars because, back to the point I was making earlier, a lot of new technology has gone into these products, a lot of future technology, and it hasn't always worked seamlessly. A lot of it's software driven. So just know that and do some research and find out how they've been reliability wise. Now, that being said, there have been a lot of Teslas sold over many, many years, but the Model 3 is in its first generation. The Model Y is in its first generation. The Model S has been out for like 10 years. It's still in its first generation. So, go in with your eyes wide open. Should anybody just buy a 2023 Prius? Really though. All right, so are you talking about the all new one or the one that's available on the road? I'm trying to remember which one's a 2023, 24. Anyway, if you're talking about the old model, you know what? There'll be people that take you up on that offer, because the one thing you got to remember is the Prius is going way up market now. The price has gone way up. It's still one of the best plug-in hybrid values in the low 30,000 Canadian mark. Now, it's not long range. You don't get a lot of range, but here's what's happened is Prius used to have to do all of the lifting. Years ago, they had, in the hybrid space, they had Prius and then they had Highlander, right? And then they brought in the RAV4, and then they've added more and more hybrids. But the Prius really was the hybrid for Toyota. And now, because they have this new, more exotic-looking Prius that's just coming to the market, that's why the Corolla has now been expanded to have, I think, 4 trims, added all-wheel drive, and it's a really good car. And then you also have the Corolla Cross, which is going to be on sale here in the next few months. So there's many, many more ways to get better fuel economy with a Toyota. Now, that if there's a good deal on one of those cars, or you want to plug in at a cheap price, that's one that you would consider. Welcome back, Zach. Why is the WRX STI dead already? Were the sales that low? Thoughts? No, I think it's going to be coming back as something exotic. Probably a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or a full EV. We don't know. There's lots of speculation about that. I don't think the STI is dead. It's going to come back as something all new. The new Kona looks so good. Yep. Do you think the new Touring Accord is a good deal? Haven't driven it yet. I'll have to wait until we get a chance to drive it. Is it certified from BMW? It is certified from BMW. Okay, this is the question about the 2022 330e. So certified from the dealer, was 70,000 plus taxes, 5,000 from government incentives. So it doesn't sound like a terrible deal if you can get it under 20,000 kilometers for 50K. But same thing, get it inspected, make sure it's okay. Doesn't sound like a terrible deal to me, but there you go. I put a deposit down on a 2023 Civic in November. They said that it would be by 2023. Now they're saying it'll come by May. Any way to push the dealer to get my car faster? I don't know why a Civic, for goodness sake, would take that long. But there you go. There's going to be a new Civic hybrid. It's already for sale, and actually it's only for sale in Europe. They're only selling the hybrid model, not the full gas one. It is going to be coming. There's something that's going to be a little tricky for you, though, is that if it's getting pushed to like summertime, you might almost be better to wait for the 2024 model, because you're going to be buying a car that won't be a calendar year older, but will be a model year older. So there's something to think about, right? I know it's frustrating. I don't know how you can push water uphill, but every company is dealing with deliverable problems when it comes to parts and chips and all that kind of stuff. So work with your dealer and see what they say. All right. So make sure I didn't miss any super chats, because those have been very nice of you guys today. Okay. Jesse Gaming TV. How much of the auto show did you guys get to see? What were your thoughts on it? My opinion is that it was very underwhelming. Yeah. Not one German car. I mean, there were some not aftermarket, but small dealers had some exotic cars there. No BMW, no Mercedes, no Audi, no Volkswagen, right? No Honda, no Acura, no Ford, no Land Rover, no Jaguar, no Bentley, no Rolls Royce, nothing. I mean, I just don't see, put it this way, the Vancouver Auto Show has been canceled. That's now, the last one was 2019. That's the last show they had here. COVID hit, and now they were going to do the show again, and then Ford pulled out of all auto shows in Canada. I just don't see it being sustainable. Is there a redesign coming for the Buick Enclave? Love your videos. Barry, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't follow Buick that closely. It's just not a big volume seller, so I apologize on not knowing that. Any prospects driving the upcoming Fisker Ocean this year? Well, the one problem you have with these small companies is that they did reach out to us, and I did say, when can we get a chance to drive it? And they said, well, we'll let you know. But the problem is these are small companies with small PR teams and not a lot of resources, so we just have to kind of wait. And I'm not going to rush out and chase down a Fisker Ocean, because I could just get a regular car that I know is going to get more views on the channel. There's just more interest in it. So eventually we'll get around to it. Here's another super chat. Old dog, Zach, are you bought in an EV or still running gassers? No, we do not have an electric car. And the big reason we don't have an electric car is because this house is 100 years old, and I have to get the whole back of my house and laneway redone. I have to get a new line submarine to the panel, get the panel updated, and a new line back out to the back lane. I have to move a fence, build a parking pad. Just not interested in spending $10,000, for example, and probably more, just so I can plug a car in. So we do test drive electric cars. We've got the Ford F-150 Lightning, but I use public charging to charge the vehicles before I take them back. For us, we live right in the middle of the city of Vancouver, and we would be great candidates for an electric car because a lot of our driving is 5 or 10 minutes in any direction. But I don't need a new car. We've got very capable cars that we have now, and we just don't put a lot of miles on them. So it just isn't worth it. Financially, it's just a numbers thing for us. It just isn't worth it for us. Hey, listen, EVs, I just speaking to somebody recently, EVs are just absolutely perfect for people who live in suburban neighborhoods in houses that were built, within the last 30 to 50 years. Typical setup is, big driveway in the front, garage is in the front of the house, easy for the electrician to come in and run 240 volts to the garage. You can plug it in the garage or have it outside in a driveway. I don't have that setup. I've got a whole different setup where I live, because I live in an old inner city neighborhood, so it's not easy to do. If I had a regular suburban driveway and garage, I would have had an EV charger put in long time ago. Not the case for us. Is that the Apple Studio display with a Thunderbolt display paired to a Mac Mini Studio? Nice. No, this is, you got most of it right. So that's the new Studio monitor. That is the Thunderbolt. What's it called again? Yeah, Thunderbolt display. And this is the Studio. This is, what is it called? The Studio Ultra. It's not the Mini. It's the high-end one. And I tell you what, not impressed with that computer. That thing cost a fortune. The monitor cost a fortune. And I used to have an iMac that we edited all the videos on. It was getting too old, and not, especially doing a lot of 4K video. So this thing is the latest. That's the Studio Ultra. That's the computer. And not impressed with it. Not impressed with it. And very expensive. Hello from Alaska. Bought a brand new 2023 Kia Sorento SX Prestige Hybrid in cash. I love it. Well done. You got one. That's a major accomplishment. And you paid all cash. Well played, sir. Good for you. Wondering what happened to Phil Edmondson. I used to like reading his auto reviews. I think Phil just got old. You know, he's an older guy. I'm not sure if he's around anymore. But I think, yeah, just retired. I like this one. Inflation is everywhere today. Super chatflation. That's good. I like that. Hey, there's the follow-up. Your reviews on the Kia Sportage. Oh, you're in the States, sorry. Your reviews on the Kia Sportage convinced me to look at Kias. That's awesome. It'd be great to hear, you know, a year from now, if it's still running great. I'm sure it will be. When are you going to review the 2023 Corolla? Just said we're reviewing the 2023 Corolla. We will definitely have the video out on Wednesday. It's the Corolla Hybrid, not the Corolla Gas. So we won't be comparing it until we get the Civic Hybrid, which hasn't officially been announced, but it is coming. Hey, Zach, does the Lexus UX Hybrid feel like a premium vehicle? Is it worth the price? Okay, I would say the previous version, so the 2022 model and older, the first generation of it, okay. The new one, you wouldn't even know it was new. On the outside, you can't tell. There's maybe some slight little things they did to it. But inside, when you drive it, much better sound insulation. They tuned the suspension, and they improved the dash with a new screen, touch sensitive now. All of those improvements are really quite good. They made it a much, much better UX. Road noise and engine noise from the hybrid system is much diminished, especially compared to, say, the Prius that it's based on. Nice cabin, really nice suspension. They did a very good job. It is not the same drivetrain as the new Prius. Actually, no, it is. It's the same drivetrain as the new Prius. So you're getting a lot of the same attributes. The packaging is small. Back seat is small. Cargo area is small. But the improvements they made for 2023, I think, are worth it. And it does feel premium over the Toyota. Okay? That's really what it's based on. Okay. Is it worth to buy a Kia Sportage with a markup $2,000 over MSRP? Okay, I don't like paying anything over MSRP. You know, I just wouldn't do it personally. I'm the kind of person that if the market is that crazy, I'm just not buying a new car. I'll wait until things slow down. But if you just have to have a car and you're out there competing with everybody else for a car and they want $2,000 premium, I personally wouldn't spend over MSRP on a car, but that's just me. It's a good product. They did a very, very good job with the Kia. I think it's excellent. So you have to decide if in your gut you think paying over MSRP for a car is worth it. If you don't really need a new car, if the car you have can get you down the road, you know, for a little while longer, I guarantee you, come the summer and fall, when the bite of interest rates are really starting to take hold, because interest rates aren't coming down, They're going to stay at these elevated levels probably through the rest of this year. There's probably going to be more competition for your dollar. So hopefully you'll be able to get a Kia at the, not at cost, but at the regular MSRP and not over. So if you're not in a rush, the longer you wait, the better the conditions are probably going to be. Harpreet, what do you think of the Mazda CX-90? Well, we had a quick walk around with the video of the CX-90, and there was lots of other outlets there that did the same thing. So they flew us all down to California, and we each got an hour with the car. So we got half an hour with the inside, half an hour with the outside, and it really was quite rushed. I will tell you, in that short period of time, the big standout for me is, boom, the interior is beautiful. It's a wonderful combination of what Mazda does well when it comes to fit and finish, upscale materials, but still conventional controls, real switches and dials, nice big screen, but still their wonderful controller in the middle to access the screen, volume knob in the middle, lots of buttons for the HVAC system, great functionality on the inside, but really nice looking materials. And then you look at the drivetrain with the 3.3 liter inline six with a rear bias all-wheel drive. It should be a wonderful car. So that's all we were allowed to do was look at it, and then we get to drive it in just about a month. So it's not going to be long now until we get a chance to drive it. Do you believe the RAV4 hybrid is outdated compared to the new Outlander PHEV? Well, the current Highlander came out in 2019. So 20, 21, 22, 23. So it's almost 5 years old now. So it's not outdated, but it was never really cutting edge when it came out. You got to remember, Toyota doesn't do that. Toyota does what works, and that's their secret to their recipe, is they don't go way out in front of the market with all this new technology. They take technology that is being perfected and put it in their vehicles. For example, just this year, 2023, they've added Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and they have a new operating system for their radio. This is a step behind a lot of the competition. They've been out of the gate with this for 2 or 3 years, but Toyota, being Toyota, doesn't do that. They wait until they've got their solution that is going to be reliable, and then they put it in there. So you could say, yeah, it's outdated, but you could also say it works. It's a great product. In my opinion, the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid is the best car on the road for the money. Why? What's the best-selling category of vehicle? Compact crossover. Okay, it's that. What is the most trusted brand in terms of reliability and resale value? That's Toyota, right? So you got that. Not the best fuel economy, but almost the best fuel economy. It's only pipped by the Ford Escape. The Ford Escape does have the best hybrid fuel economy, but the RAV4 is very, very close. So almost class-leading fuel economy, and it does get great fuel economy. And then the reliability and all of that comes with it. And the price, I'm going to use Canadian dollars because I know that. That's all, you get all of that, and it's only $34,000. You name me another car at that price that has all of that. Yes, there's the Kia hybrid and there's the Hyundai hybrid. They've got more stuff, but they don't have the Toyota badge, the resale value, and the known reliability that Toyota has. That's what's baked into that cake. So that's why I say it is the car to beat in the marketplace. You could buy a RAV4, you could pay for the RAV4, and you could drive the RAV4, do the regular maintenance on the RAV4, and it's just going to do what it's going to do every day. And that's why people buy Toyotas. Okay, let's go down here. We do have another super chat. Do you think GLE in North America will go hybrid anytime soon? Yes. Okay. They are going to have the EQE. We were actually invited to go and drive that. Unfortunately, we have a conflict. We can't do it. But that's the full EV version of essentially what the GLE is. Now, I'm trying to remember, they used to in the GLE have a plug-in hybrid. With this latest version, I'd have to look into that off the top of my head. Now, they used to be available with the old body style. But Mercedes-Benz is going full EV like everybody else. So the EQE is going to be on sale here later this year in a few months. So that's really the push. So that really is the answer. People ask this about Volkswagen: is why isn't Volkswagen doing hybrids or plug-in hybrids? Because all of these cars are going to be replaced by EVs eventually. So they're not going to do that until they have a full EV. All right. Well, first of all, thank you everybody for coming back. After being off for a month, we had my mother-in-law's birthday one Sunday. We were on the road traveling for a couple of weeks, and then last week was Super Bowl. So it just worked out that we had 4 weeks with no live shows. So we're back tonight. Thank you for tuning in and watching. And we will be back. If we're not on the road, we'll be back on Sundays. Thank you for all the super chats. And Matt wanted to know wrist check. I'll do this one before. This is a Grand Seiko SBGM 001, the first Grand Seiko GMT. So there you go. I am into watches. There's a lot of car people into watches. But this was the very first Grand Seiko GMT that came out in 2002. I have one of those. All right. Well, we're all done. Thanks to everybody for being here. If you could smash the thumbs up before we say goodnight. If you want to get a picture in for the live show, do that at Zack, Z-A-C-K, at motormouth.ca or Z-A-C-K at motormouth.ca. We'll get back to putting those pictures up in the weeks to come. Thanks for being here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're in Canada and you're having a family long weekend, enjoy your time off, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.